first speaker is Ken Nysmith, who's the head of the Nysmith School, and he's going to present on the importance of communities for gifted children. There you go, Ken.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Chris. You know, the mission of this organization to go ahead and raise the awareness and the needs for gifted children is critical. As you guys are probably all aware, and I'll try and make this keep within my 10 minutes, so let me know if I start getting a little verbose. But at our first meeting, we really talked about being able to do the IQ testing and what is the value of IQ testing. Gifted children are different. They do have different needs. They are much more sensitive, but they are also silly. They're less mature, although intellectually they may be thinking a year or two beyond. That's a challenge for these children. Communities are critical. At our second meeting, as Deep kind of demonstrated, the number one goal for us as parents is we want our children to be happy. Absolutely. The question is, can you be happy when you're the only one in the class who's thinking on that level? When you're the child who's looking around going, I know this answer, but I've had my hand up every time. And all of a sudden, people go, put your hand down. You know, why are you the know-it-all? Well, the reality is they have a lot of information to share. The key for our program, and the key for all these gifted programs, is to be able to go ahead and validate those interests, to be able to go ahead and give them that sense of feeling normal. As we look in the mirror, we're all our most challenging critic. It's even worse for gifted children because they want to know, why am I different? They don't have that sense of being normal because they're thinking, again, in a different plane. They're looking into, in many cases, situations, a social situation that may be absolutely meant innocently, and yet they're reading into it. What did they mean by that? Oh, I think they meant they don't like my hair when they said, you know, look at your hair. All they meant was, hey, look at your hair. They did not mean to read into that, and that is a big part of who these kids are. It is absolutely critical to find that acceptance. You can find it in lots of different ways. Certainly, the more exposure you have to others like you, that you have more exposure to people who have ideas and share your communal interests, the more you feel normal, the more you feel like you belong. And that's really it in a nutshell. I can't tell you how many hundreds, if not thousands, of families that come to visit us that walk through the door and expecting a bunch of little nerds. Well, what was a nerd? What's the definition of a nerd? A child who loves math, a child who loves science, socially awkward. Why are they socially awkward? Because they don't have that community of shared interests. They don't understand why other children in the class in kindergarten don't want to talk about black holes or talk about space and just want to talk about, again, what other children want to talk about. But if you've done the IQ testing, you know your child is, again, 1% of the population. So it's trying to give them that sense of community. And what is most amazing to us, and we were just talking about it the other day, you know, if you look at the young children when they enter Nysmith, and I'm sure it's the same with the other schools, is that, again, you have lots of different personalities. And again, you have some of those idiosyncrasies. But the neat part is, by getting them together with groups of children with similar interests, they quickly have those socialization skills. We all know engineers, we all know programmers, and I don't mean to insult engineers, and I don't mean to insult programmers. But we all know very bright, intelligent people who cannot communicate their ideas, who cannot share their emotions, they cannot share their thoughts. And it does make for a difficult life if you cannot communicate effectively. And I think that is where that sense of communities really becomes so absolutely critical. Another key element is being able to go ahead and have an environment that is geared towards them, that keeps them challenged. when you're talking about a sense of community and a sense of belonging, you don't feel like you belong when you're bored to tears, when you're just looking around going, why am I doing this? Come on, let me out of here. I don't understand. We really, with gifted schools, are geared specifically to the needs of gifted children. It is different. There are some things that you can do as parents, whether you attend a school for gifted children or not. Even if you're in the public school, in a public school community, again, it's not unlike the difference between being on a cruise ship versus being in the ocean with a life raft thrown to you. But there are studies out there that show that, again, if you can get your child into a summer camp program, and again, there are some interesting brochures over here from the Summer Institute for the Gifted, as well as the CTY program. The National Junior Leadership Council as well is an interesting group that is able to go ahead and bring in children with similar aptitudes and similar envisions of their future to be able to have that sense of community. And you say, well, you know, what is a summer going to mean to a child? It gives them a sense there's someone out there that shares their interests, that likes them, that they're not alone in the sea of emptiness. It doesn't have to be like that. It really can be a wonderful celebration of who they are, because we all are different. Our children are different. And so being able to go ahead and recognize that difference and being able to go ahead and maximize all that potential that they have in a way that is all about happiness. That is it in a nutshell. So are there questions? Great. Well, thank you for coming. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, thank you.
You touched a little bit on how the gifted children typically are a little bit immature compared to you.
It's one of the common characteristics. The question was talking about immaturity of gifted children. It is one of the common characteristics of gifted children.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit in terms of what are some of the traits and things that you see in these children?
You're going to see, again, it all depends on the age group, but it's not unusual to be talking to a kindergartner and talking in, again, many times gifted children relate better to older children and adults. And you'll be having an adult conversation and their toy falls over and they'll have a meltdown. You know, that's not unusual. And again, for some people, that really throws them. You know, they feel like that is a deterrent for moving forward into the next grade because their maturity is limited. But that's who they are. And so if you're used to dealing with that, it's easy to accept and say, okay, come on, let's get this settled and get you back on track, helping to give them that support. Did I answer your question? It really depends on the age, but it's remarkable to watch a child who is, again, kindergarten, first grade, thinking almost on an adult plane. You're having an adult conversation, and then lo and behold, you're wondering if you're dealing with a 1 or 2 year old. That's just who they are. Great, thank you.
Thank you, Ken.